Moon boys worldwide are right now asking themselves, is Bitcoin flashing a top signal? With Bitcoin getting completely annihilated, down literally 1% today to prices we haven't seen in a couple of days, Giga Mega Chad Michael Saylor scooped enough Bitcoin to quite literally solve world hunger. But will it be enough to save Moonboy kind from complete and utter dumpulation? So if you're new here, and dumbs don't turn you off from this market, in fact, they turn you on to this market, hit that like, subscribe, get set up to FMX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins as well for a limited time. There is now live, if you use the link in the description, the first 500 people to sign up receive a free 100 USDT for signing up. Also, 100,000 USDT Thanksgiving trade-a-thon is up for grabs as well. So that's going to be in the description. So we can see so far, this looks to potentially be the very first red weekly candle that we have for Bitcoin. Keep in mind, there is still over 6 days left of this weekly candle. It just started, but you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4 straight green weekly candles to the upside. Are we going to be receiving our first red weekly candle? Well, I'll say one thing. If we do receive a red weekly candles are needed in order to keep having green weekly candles. Okay, you can't only have green weekly candles, you have to have red ones as well. But I think the bigger question people are wondering, is the market actually topping out? So let's look at a few things to give us an idea about that. So we can see that Bitcoin always flushes out the last of the degens before pushing up again. Don't get shaken out. You can see this chart that Bitcoin Archive posted going all the way back to just the beginning of this month. And we've had similar situations with these big wicks. However, one thing I would say is that this is only this is only about a month of data. We actually have not had an actual dump. And in Bitcoin bull markets, even in bull markets, we get 10, 15, 20% plus dumps that can sometimes last weeks. They can last like a long time, and they can shake people out, and they make people think that, hey, we're actually never going to go up again, right? That's almost even the prerequisite to going up again, is that a lot of people have to think, oh, we will never go up again. So this chart only just shows the last month. The bigger question I think people are asking themselves is this going to turn into one of those longer term, 1 to 3 week dumpathons? Are we going to actually see Bitcoin get dumped for the next couple of weeks? Well, we see that MicroStrategy just made its biggest ever purchase of Bitcoin, over $5 billion worth. MicroStrategy completely gobbling up as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. And the price of MicroStrategy today, actually, let's just take a look. Here, the price of MicroStrategy actually down a little bit on a 7-day chart, but obviously you can see massively up still. So not anything I would be concerned about at this point. And if we check in on the halving progress, about 15%, this is where Bitcoin was at in terms of its progress over the last couple of halvings. In terms of, were we close to a top? No, not really. The last halving, not even close. The second halving, not even close to being close. And then here as well, Bitcoin still ran up from where we are right now compared to where we were then in terms of the percentage past the halving. We went from $100 to $1,000. That's actually kind of crazy. Then the time before that was about 1,000 to almost 20,000. So completely bananas. I think there's obviously, in my opinion, a lot of room to go up. With Saylor buying over $5 billion worth of Bitcoin, ETFs are continuing to accumulate. But the big question you might be asking is who is selling that? And we're still below 100K. Adam Back, actually, one of the people that some people think, and actually a new documentary just kind of pointed to him being Satoshi. I don't believe he is, but he was very, very closely tied to the very, very beginning of Bitcoin's creation. Anyway, he said, confusing indeed. Let hands are selling Bitcoin in volume below 100K. Just why at this stage in the market? He's asking why. Yeah, I don't understand why. I think people want to prevent it from getting to 100K. Maybe even Peter Sniff. Peter Sniff has that somewhat popular tweet basically saying Bitcoin will never get to 100K, but he also has hundreds of other tweets of prices that he says it'll never get to, and it got to. So if it gets to 100K and Peter Sniff is wrong, it's just par for the course. He's wrong every single Bitcoin prediction he's ever had. Bitcoin price still has a way to go as far as the upside. According to Rager on X, this is the Pi cycle top indicator looking for potential signs of a Bitcoin top. It's called the last 3 tops of the bull market within a couple of days. And he's saying it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when for Bitcoin to go higher throughout the year of 2025. Basically, according to this, it's showing the the top to be significantly above where we currently are, well over $100,000. I personally think it's going to be higher than, I think it possibly could go to 200,000. I think we really have to see if this the possibility of Bitcoin hyper Bitcoinization can actually can become a reality this cycle. Looking at the entire cryptocurrency, the entire altcoin market, so the entire crypto space minus Bitcoin, as well, we're seeing a little bit of red on the weekly chart. Again, this is the very first the very first day of this week. It's also the very first week of this week, but it's the very first day of this week. And I have been mentioning this quite literally since the gap about 2 weeks ago. The CME gap that was put in exactly 2 weeks ago is right between 77 and about 80,000 US dollars. I have been mentioning this quite literally about 8 or 9 minutes into every single video that I've made for the past 2 weeks. So I kind of been doing it purposely right towards the end of the video. Right around 77 to 80,000, I think Bitcoin has a chance of dipping down to that, even if it's a very quick wick where it kind of just doesn't spend a lot of time there. I think that's a real possibility. And Bitcoin right now, as I said, on the weekly chart, it's only a day in. It's not even a full 24 hours into this weekly candle. So I wouldn't get super butthurt and super crazy about this. But I mean, if you look at this chart and we saw something like this over the next week or two, okay, actually, let's actually kind of just draw something like that out as we enter 2025. I mean, I don't know. December is usually a very historically bullish time actually for crypto and Bitcoin. So I personally don't know if we'll have any sort of significant drop then. I think that it's a little less likely than if, say, we were in the summer or something, whereas Bitcoin has historically had pretty nice dips in the summer. But if something like that would happen, guys, let's say a really nasty scenario where we go down to 75,000 and it takes a while or something to bounce up. First of all, that wouldn't be bearish at all. It would seem bearish in the short term, and alts would probably get destroyed. But again, that's not my base case. I don't think that's the most likely scenario that we're going to see here, but it absolutely is a scenario that is definitely worth entertaining. The more likely scenario is that Bitcoin breaks 100K before 2024 ends. And we look at this daily chart for Bitcoin as well. We are significantly above really key moving averages, the 21, 50, and 100-day moving average. I mean, the 21 is at about 88,000, but the 50-day moving average is right around that $76,000 level, which I would actually, I think that would reset a lot of momentum and be okay for Bitcoin. What would alts do in the meantime? Alts would probably get banged a little bit. And again, that's not my base case for what I think is happening, but you need to understand it's a very realistic possibility, and it's not a bad one either. I'm looking through the side of my screen here and just looking at some of these alts. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's down at the time of this video, it's actually down close to 3%. It's actually moved down a little bit since the video started. But as well, I mean, I keep going back to this chart. I think over the next 300 days, this window is basically we won't be topping out until we get to the end of this window, in my opinion. So that gives a lot of time left. The stock market was actually, I think the stock market did set a new all-time, or the SPX set a new all-time high today briefly. It's actually down now, or at least it's a red. Let me see here. Yeah, red daily candle, red weekly. Overall, I mean, look at this. The dollar is still pumping. Bitcoin has made this entire run up to right at about 100K. The entire time, the DXY was pumping. So typically Bitcoin dumps during that. So it had a really strong pump while the dollar was moving heavily to the upside. Cardano, actually, wow, is only down 3% as well today, which is the same as Bitcoin so far. Some of these other top alts are down between 5 and 10% or so. So really, for a dumpy day, it's not crazy dumpy yet, but I would just caution people that this dump could get much more dumpy, and it wouldn't even be surprising or bad or change anything. It would still, this, in my opinion, would still be the most insane bull market, period. And having a dump here, would that change it? No, we get dumps all the time, even in bull markets. And if you're interested in receiving 100 USDT, be one of the first 500 people to sign up with the link to Femex below. As well, 100,000 USDT prize pool is available for Thanksgiving. I mean, who doesn't like turkeys and Thanksgiving and stuff like that? So it is a Thanksgiving trade-a-thon, and it will be lasting up until December 7th. So take advantage of that if you're interested.